Hello everybody, my name is Blue and welcome to another episode of Tiny Island Resort. This is quite a quick episode, just a little in-between episode for a small island. Because this episode we are doing Aldabra Island. Or I should actually say Aldabra Atoll, since this is, well, it is an island, but it's formed in quite a unique way. And if you didn't know, the Aldabra Island is home to the Aldabra Giant Tortoise, which is also the animal that will be inhabiting this island in Tiny Island Resort. And yes, it is a really small episode, and that's specifically because I'm quite limited on time right now, so I thought I'll just do just a quick episode so you at least have some content, but yeah, I'm quite tight on time. So this episode we will be exploring the very unique giant tortoise. There's two species in the game, and we will have both in this zoo, but for now it's just the Aldabra Giant Tortoise, which is the second largest tortoise species, and the Galapagos tortoise being the largest, but we'll delve deep into the giant Galapagos tortoise on a different episode. For now, I just want to explain a bit on the island itself, since it's not a inhabited island, although I don't think it is. There are people on there, like scientists and researchers. There are some like research centers, but I think from as far as I know, there aren't some actual people that live there, I think. But the giant tortoise do live there, and the reason this island exists is quite interesting, because an atoll, or I don't know how you pronounce it exactly, but it's actually formed by a coral reef. So what happens is a volcanic island will appear, and this coral reef will form around the coastline of this volcanic island, this volcanic mound sticking out of the water. What will then happen is the volcanic island will sink back down into the sea, and well, the coral reef remains, so that's why you create this ring-shaped island, essentially. So you create a ring-shaped coral reef that can be inhabited by different plant and animal species. It's a tropical island, so there's a lot of underbrush and a lot of like tropical trees, but the species are really interesting, because what happens in these kind of isolated environments is that these animals will create these very unique body plans. And I think I have mentioned these island insular phenomena in other episodes, but I think this is the best example so far, because I think when we speak of island fauna and flora, I think the Galapagos Giant Tortoise and the Aldabra Giant Tortoise are the two most famous examples, because this is a textbook example of island gigantism. And what insular gigantism or island gigantism is basically because of their isolation to the rest of the world, and because of its very small ecosystem that it creates on this island. These individuals, these tortoise, they basically have no competition, and they have unlimited food, essentially, right? And because of that, they can grow as big as they want to, because they have no limits. They have no food limits, they have no predators. So what happens is that they can grow as large as they want, and you get these huge Aldabra tortoise. And it happens with a lot of small species. A lot of small species will grow bigger on islands. There are a lot of good examples on many different islands, but the Aldabra Giant Tortoise and the Galapagos Giant Tortoise are two textbook examples of this. The opposite also happens, where larger species will shrink and create insular dwarfism. And this phenomenon is actually when these large species are limited because of, well, the limited size of the island. There's limited resources, limited food, so they have to shrink in size to actually be able to eat enough and actually make sure they can get enough nutrients. So this is a good example of the pygmy elephant, which, well, the elephant, you know, is the largest land mammal, but on these islands, these pygmy elephants, they grow to a really small size just so, you know, they can actually survive. And, well, a pygmy elephant, or at least a dwarf elephant, it is an extinct species of elephant. But there's a lot of extant species that really follow this example as well. Obviously now, the giant tortoise is a good example of the opposite of the insular gigantism. And this also happens with a lot of bird species and lizards, like the Komodo dragon is a very good example. Komodo dragon, you know, the largest lizard in the world, living on an island. Yeah, it's really fascinating. I think this is one of the best examples of how island wildlife is just so unique and so different because of the fact that they are isolated. But yeah, that's just you know, that's just me really enjoying the magnificent things nature does with island ecosystems. But anyway, now enough about the giant tortoise, because we don't have a lot of time to speak since the video is already halfway, really, even over halfway, I think. So here, what I'm actually doing is I'm building the, well, actually I'm trying to make the flag of Seychelles, since Aldabra is an island that belongs to Seychelles, which is an island nation in off the coast of Africa, so it's an African island nation. And they have a really beautiful flag. It's honestly one of the better flags I've seen. It's so beautiful. I love the different colors in this kind of circular pattern, in this kind of like rainbow pattern. It's really, really cool. I like it a lot, and I thought, well, I have to just build this flag. I have done it for a couple of the other ones, like Madagascar, Papua New Guinea. I couldn't leave out Seychelles. It's such a beautiful flag. And then here I try to just make the actual shape of the island as accurate as possible with the real life counterpart, although since I am limited to size, I'm also quite limited to the actual detail of like the tiny little like structures and islands that are around this well, coral reef atoll. And I also made the inside of this atoll very shallow, since it is usually quite shallow on the inside. And besides that, the actual like island has a lot of these like very high cliff edges. But obviously I couldn't really do that, since otherwise you wouldn't be able to see the tortoise, since you know your boat is on quite a low level. So I just try to add a bit of that kind of cliff looking on a very miniature scale. Also, when it comes to plants, there is actually really large forested areas on the island, but since we are on a really tiny scale, right, in this build, what I did is I used the small palm trees to kind of give this miniature kind of scale, which kind of worked. And then for the actual staff facility, I built this tiny building, which I took inspiration from an actual building that is found on Seychelles. It's just a tiny like research outpost, I think it is supposed to be. So I took inspiration from that, and that's basically it. I'm sorry for the short episode. I hope next time we'll do something bigger, like maybe Iceland with the Arctic boxes, or we'll see. But for now, that will do, and I'll see you in the next episode. Enjoy.